I'm Jerome Emanuel. I'm also a candidate for county executive in Chemung County. We're not here about me, we're here about Ed Bond. I met Ed last year. Started a group called Elmira Entrepreneurs, where basically we wanted to engage people that had ideas to start businesses and help them with some resources and some education and help engage them into the community so they can start their own business and work for themselves. And Ed came by and had a phenomenal little game that I like to play that he designed and developed himself, which tells you a little bit about his mind. Somebody that has an idea in their head that they want to create a game, and you take something just as a game, something that doesn't exist anywhere in the world, and you create it. That tells you about somebody's mind and the way that they think. He doesn't think with a way that because it's not written down on a piece of paper that it doesn't exist. He thinks, I don't care if it's not written down on a piece of paper. I don't care if it's not in the stores. I'm going to go make it. And not only am I going to go make it, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to build it. And I'm going to do it all myself. And that's one thing that I absolutely loved about Ed. Since neither of us were running for anything at that point. We were just kind of, hanging out trying to save the world. And then after I did make an announcement, I had an idea for a commercial, something that I wanted to do, and I said, Ed, wouldn't it be great if we just, if there was like a puzzle that had all the shapes of Chemung County? Ed said, yeah, it'd be great. I met Ed a couple weeks after that. He said, Jerome, I got that puzzle almost done. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, no, here, look, it's right here. I didn't ask him to do it. He did it on his own time. He went to the library. He pieced everything together. He carved everything out. And he brought it and he showed me. And I was blown away, but not by the puzzle. I was blown away by the man. Somebody that would do that for somebody else without asking for any money, just wanting to help. That's the kind of person that we need on our legislative. Ed is one of us. He's an everyday person, but he's got a beautiful mind. He's got a big heart. And I fully support you in anything that I can do. Please let me know. And ladies and gentlemen, our next county legislator. Woo!
Wow. So, after all that, I have to come clean about something. I know you're probably all worried about this, and I don't want an October surprise, so I want to be honest and upfront with all of you. I am from New Jersey. Horseheads is my adoptive home. You're from New Jersey too? Horseheads is my adoptive home. When Amy and I were living in Los Angeles, at one point we were talking about where we're going to move next. And we actually considered a few different places, but really, Horseheads was really the only place that made sense. This is where her family's from, and I have fallen in love with Horseheads because of her family. My only big adjustment coming back here was since I grew up in cities and suburbs, I was used to streets being on grids, and Horseheads doesn't have many grids. It's really hard to learn your way around Horseheads at first, but I am grateful to have that map of Horseheads in my head. It makes me love it all the more. So we've been here for 17 years, and I couldn't imagine being anywhere else right now. So a little bit of background on me. This is basically a job interview. I'm interviewing with you guys to get the job of county legislator. I want to talk a little bit about why I think I'm good for that job. I went to St. Joe's in Philly where I studied politics and government and history and philosophy and theology and English and all those wonderful things. And because I always had in my mind that I wanted to be a reporter covering politics, I also went to Indiana University and got a master's in journalism. And my first job out of school was to cover Steuben County Legislature for the Star-Gazette. And that was a wonderful education. I was there for 3 years under the tutelage of a man named Larry Wilson. Has anybody heard the name Larry Wilson? He used to write the Corning Watch column for the Star-Gazette. And under his guidance and the guidance of the editors of the Star-Gazette, I learned a lot. They taught me, most importantly, fix your mistakes. If you make a mistake, be honest about it, fix it, learn from it, move on from there. I made a lot of mistakes initially at the Star-Gazette, but I learned from them. I learned so well that my next job was covering the city of Burbank for the Los Angeles Times, and I did that for a couple of years, and then I got lucky enough to be assigned to take over a series of columns about people who make a difference in the world. And what I learned from them was anybody can make a difference in the world, and everyone should try. So this is me trying. After I finished with the Times, I went in to become a community college journalism professor, and what I learned from there was the importance of opportunity. People need an opportunity in order to succeed. And the metaphor that I had in my head at the time was, and it's funny because of one of the other candidates in this race, but the metaphor was race cars. I felt like those community college students, their brains were like race cars, and nobody had bothered to put the fuel in. And finally, when you put the fuel in their engine, they take off. Some people found out that they weren't using their engine right, and they needed some help to be a better student. But once they learned that, they took off. So another lesson that stayed with me. Then we came back here. We came back here because of this gentleman here, and this gentleman over here. This is my son Jack and my son Liam. But it was after Jack was born, in 1999. All of Amy's family came out to visit. Sisters were coming out to visit. Her dad came out to visit on one trip in Los Angeles. And when he got back to Horseheads, he calls up Amy and he says, "So when are you coming home?" So we came home. I realized that was going to hit me. This is home. Came back, started a new career at the Star-Gazette. My first day of work was September 11th, 2001. That was an exciting day. After spending 9 years away from the Star-Gazette, I came back and I said, okay, I don't want to be a reporter this time, I want to be a copy editor. And so they said, okay, we're putting you in on the copy desk. And that first day, they put me into being a reporter. So I'd gone full circle. All of a sudden, from all my life in LA, it disappeared, and now I was back to being a reporter at the Star-Gazette again. But I was glad to be back. I was glad to be back in journalism. I actually did get back into teaching too, because I took on part-time and short-term assignments at Ithaca College. And then the economy collapsed. 2008, newspapers dried up. A lot of good reporters lost their jobs. I got laid off in 2009. My teaching job ended in 2010, and I ended up on the sidelines. Now, I had to reinvent myself, and that led me into board gaming and being an entrepreneur and learning how to be a startup businessman. And I'm grateful for that. But I still missed covering politics and government. And ever since I started moving towards launching this campaign, I actually feel more complete now. I feel like I'm more like myself. I can feel confident because I'm talking about things that I care about. So let's talk about county government, because that's what we're focusing on here tonight. What is the government? We are the government. We make the government. We gather together collectively and make the decisions that will help us provide the services that we all need. So at the county government level, that's simple things. Roads, landfill, sewer, jail, sheriff's department, health department, etc. And, nursing facility. But we want to provide the best bang for the buck. We want to make the most of what people pay in their taxes as you representing yourself in the government. So I think that some legislators have taken their platform as legislators to do other things, like express their disapproval of people and their lifestyles, expressing their theology. That does not belong in government. It should be focused on providing the services in the most effective way possible. I'd rather think about what you are for rather than what you are against. I think that that's one of the reasons why politics has gotten so bad in many ways, because it's always the never this and the never that versus each other, and the people in the middle are going, huh? What? What do I do? What are you for? What I am for is for you. I am for you. I will work for you. I will be your advocate, and I think as a legislator, I should be listening to you, finding ways of connecting to you. By the way, I'm making a habit. Every morning from 8 to 9 a.m., you can find me at Panera. And it's just a simple thing. I'm just going in there, having a cup of coffee before I go to the gym. But I just want to create an access point where you can talk to me. If I get elected, I will keep up that habit. And what I will also do, because I've heard that many times people are very frustrated with the government because the agenda comes out and then the meeting happens, and there's no opportunity to talk to your legislator between the agenda coming out and the meeting. And what I would do is I would set up times where you could meet me in that window and talk about your concerns and find out what does this agenda item mean and get back to you on it. I may also have a regular town hall meeting, just someplace where you can always be able to reach a legislator. They've got the system very well streamlined down there. I've seen, full legislature meetings happening within half an hour. And it's nice and streamlined, but that's because they haven't brought the public into the process. Public administration is easy, I guess, if you don't include the public. So, let me actually just stop for a second, and I just want to find out what brought you out tonight. Why are you concerned? What kinds of concerns did you have on your mind?
I'm married to you.
Huh?
I'm married to you.
I can't do anything about that. Yes, we are smart, Alex, by the way, but we mean you no harm. In journalism, by the way, it's a very high pressure job. and we're trying to work very hard to get the facts right, and we get despondent when we don't get the facts right. But we're not the first responders, but very often we're the second responders. So if there's a fire or a death or drowning or some tragedy, the first responders will get there, and then the reporter gets there. So we have all this stuff that we have to deal with, and we deal with it by making jokes. But I just want to open the door and let you know that I am here to talk to you, because this is how I live and breathe. I want, I'm very curious about things. I like to take notes about things. I'd like to write them down, and I'd like to get them published when I can. So now Joe Brennan, who is the incumbent, he has said, Joe, he has said that he wants to break the rubber stamp and change the status quo and involve the public. And the thing is, he's been in the job for 12 years. He got elected through a primary in 2006, right out of school. And he really didn't do much for it, and he can't really be the agent for change. He's been stuck in it too much. I can break it because I'll just simply be myself. I'll go in with a pen and a notebook, and I will take notes. And everything that anyway, I was interviewing a candidate for the Bend County Legislature, and I just asked a softball question. What will you do when you get elected? And he says, I want to go in and meet with every department head in the county and find out what it is they do and what I need to understand in order to do their job. And so I can make decisions that will help them do their job better. Makes sense to me, but apparently doesn't make sense in Chemung County. So, I think we can change things for the better there. It may be the meetings are going to go longer, maybe it'll mean some more work, but democracy is work. It is not easy. I think we can win this thing. I say that rather boldly because when we moved to Horses in 2001, I looked around and I said, wow, the Republicans are in charge. Not much for Democrats to do. But we can win this year. I think it's an open field. I think that the Democrats are on the rise. I think that independent voters are on the rise. And this is their chance to get involved because we're going to have a contested general election. It will take every little bit of effort in order to win and for Jerome to win. But it could come down to just 10 votes, possible. 10, 20 votes could win any of our elections here, could swing it any way. So every little bit of effort anyone can do in this room. Now we have a small room right here, but you know friends, they know friends. And if you can help spread the word and volunteer or donate, that we can make a difference. Any little bit of effort will help. You can, by volunteering, if you're more adventurous, you can go out canvassing with us and knock on doors and talk to people. If you're less adventurous, maybe you can help us make phone calls, or maybe you can help us stuff envelopes, or send out postcards. Like I could give somebody a pack of postcards and you can mail them out for me, and that would save me some postage expense. You can help drive somebody around town who's doing canvassing so that it's easier for them to get to where they're going, because it's kind of tough. You drive up to a house, you figure it out, get out of the car and get back. So any little bit of help, anything that we can make the Democrats visible. Because here's the numbers. In my district, there's about 3,900 registered voters in this district. There are 1,700 Republicans. There are more than 1,000 Democrats. So if you're doing the math in your head, you're realizing, okay, 880 independent or unaffiliated voters. So the Republicans have a spectator sport. It's not like when you go to a football game and you buy your popcorn, you buy your ticket, you sit in the stands and you yell for your team, and your team either wins or you loses and you go home. And maybe you're happy and maybe you're sad. In politics, what happens in the stands affects what happens on the field. And what happens on the field affects the quality of your life up here in the stands. So we all are engaged, whether we want to or not. So if you're not engaged, you are actually affecting the outcome. So get engaged one way or the other. And I'm all for voter registration for any party, Republican, Democrat, Socialist, Libertarian, Green, Whig, whatever. Just get registered and vote and be respectful. Reggie Jackson once said, after the Yankees won the World Series, that they won the game, they won that season by one game that year, and everybody on the team contributed. They had one guy who was down in the minors who came up and played in the major leagues for the Yankees for one game. He helped them win, and he went back to the minors the next day. He helped the Yankees win the World Series that year. I told myself that I wouldn't make any promises I couldn't keep in this campaign. I will promise that if you do help us win, and we win, you will feel better. You will feel like your voice matters, that your vote matters, and you will feel a lot better. May the 4th be with you.